So good. So good.
Happy you're here.
So terrible and so good all at the same time.
I know it's one of those things for those of you that are going to watch this because I'm going to be epic in 10 years still.
I
It's the
know.
day after it's the day after the 2020 election as we record this. And as you probably might know from your history lessons, either from this week or this month or 10 years from now, uh we don't
The
still don't
big
know
one.
what it is. It was a big one. Yes. So, welcome, Amanda, to the Magic, to the HellRaiser series. Thank you for being here because you are one of my favorite HellRaisers. Would you tell my lovely audience a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I'm Amanda. Star is actually my middle name. I'm a Kingsley. I'm a mother of three. I live in Massachusetts. I've always been drawn to women's health. It's like always been my thing. Um, always felt very maternal. Like I tell people like pregnancy, birth, babies run in my blood.
Mm,
It's my jam. Like wombs and women are my jam. And so about 3 years ago, added to my jam, much to my surprise, was the womb topic of abortion. Came after my own unplanned pregnancy and was a wake up call to what my voice in the world was.
mm.
It turned into the next evolution of my voice, but particularly as of yesterday and today, I've really been settling into like, this is your work. Even like, no matter who wins this election, this craziness, like it's sort of irrelevant because you're going to show up and do the same thing for the next 30 years. And I don't say that to mean like we're not going to make any progress in 30 years, but like that's kind of how much work we have to do.
Yeah.
Even if we're making progress and we're stepping forward, like that's kind of how much we need to put in. And so I'm ready for it. So that's how I raise hell. I talk about abortion. I'm a life coach. I coach people, to this point mostly women, who have had abortions.
It's incredible. So
Yeah,
good. So good. I love it.
here I am.
So, you alluded to this a little bit and said you had your own unplanned pregnancy and abortion experience, but how did you get into your work? Like, how did all of a sudden you were like, seems that there's a need for a life coach for women who've had an abortion. I'm just going to jump right on into that field.
It seems it wasn't as clear as I maybe make it sound. I had my 3 kids. I found entrepreneurship in a way that was like the online world, and like to get right into it, like it was network marketing that helped me find my voice.
Yeah.
I was selling a product, a medicinal mushroom product. So I was learning all about traditional Chinese medicine and medicinal mushrooms and superfoods, and I still take these amazing products. But I found like my presence in the world and like my courage and desire to like speak up through network marketing. So yay, go network marketing.
Yes.
But what I realized was that I loved most the coaching. Like I loved watching people transform. Before that, I was a doula and I was going to like 3 to 5 births a month. Then I had my son, who's now 6, and I have 2 teenage daughters. When he came, I stopped the doula work,
Mhm.
but I realized that the network marketing had this similar edge. Like I was transitioning people through this like transformation in their life. Like I was helping them get over struggles and challenges and hurdles. And I just loved the leadership and the coaching. That was what I liked most. I loved the product too, but I didn't necessarily like love the sales and the whole like building a team and stuff. Love the leadership, love the coaching. Eventually I said, okay, I'm just going to like say I'm a life coach, because you can do that. Like you can just be a life coach.
You really can.
So I started coaching
Some
people
people should
on,
not do that.
yeah, I started coaching people on like their why, like what was your why? And I had this whole process where you could come up, like identify it down to one word. Everyone's why I can nail down to one word in 45 minutes, like, and it will change your life. And then somewhere in there, I got pregnant, chose an abortion, did not put the two together at all. But when my I certified through the life coach school, and Brooke Castillo said, now you have to pick a niche. You have like 45 seconds, pick a niche and go. And I was like, oh, that's my niche. Like, how did I not figure this out? So like the pieces just started coming together that this was how I got here. And like, I truly believe, and I'll say over and over and over again, like, I think that baby, that soul, and I call it a baby. I know not all people in the abortion world call it a baby. I do. Terminated super early. Still, it's a baby to me. It's a soul who brought me this work. And yeah, it took a while. When I had my abortion, I thought I would write a book and that would be my contribution to like women's reproductive whatever. So it took a while before I said, oh, like I'm a coach, and that's how I help people manage their lives after abortion.
So good.
Yeah.
I love it so much. So here we are on the eve of a monumental election, truthfully. And what actually happened yesterday is in Colorado, they stopped a really horrible constitutional amendment that would have been catastrophic for women who wanted to obtain abortions in Colorado. And at the same time, they passed a really horrible piece of legislation amendment in Louisiana that's going to be detrimental to women accessing abortion services. And so, so why is now a good time to raise some hell? I mean, I come up with 1,000 reasons, but, and I also think I really want people to understand that the way you raise hell is it's quite lovely. It's
It
very
is so lovely.
so lovely, and it's like this, you create this container of like joy around abortion, but and light, like you bring this beautiful, you shed light on abortion, and it's really incredible. And so why is now a good time to raise hell in the context of the work that you're doing and the conversations you're having with your client, and these.
Yeah, I mean, for Colorado, for Louisiana, for all the other states that like are going to go through this, I don't know what's going to happen next 4 years. But for all of these women, for all of these people, for all of these families, the way we increase access, the way we give people the healthcare they need, because this is not my world. I am a life coach. I work in like mindset, mental health, empowered storytelling. So I don't do the access work. Like I don't do the legislative work. I don't provide abortions. Like none of that is my work, as in like work that I embody. But the way we increase access for all of these people is that we who can and are willing to invest in the healing time tell empowered stories about our abortion. Like I didn't want to get pregnant, was not part of the plan. I didn't know my IUD was going to fall out. I never thought I would get an abortion. But when I can own that story and tell it in a beautiful way, then I change the access, because half these people making these crazy laws are not talking to people
Women who had abortions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's really easy to pass crazy laws when we're all hiding. And 1 to 3 or 4 of us are having abortions. And this is not like 1 to 3 liberal people. This is like 1 to 3 people with wombs are having abortions. So if we're all hiding, they're going to keep passing this madness. Like, we have to stop hiding. And I don't want to pressure anyone into like going public and sharing their story all over the internet, but we have to at least own our story to ourselves, own our story to our partners, own our story to our best friends. Like, so many of us are just hiding. And what hiding does is it decreases access.
Yeah, it really does. It
Yeah.
really does. So why is now a really good time for disrupting that narrative around abortion?
Because we need to increase access.
And talk a little bit more about that, because I'm assuming that some of your clients have had a really hard time obtaining access.
Yes, some have. Some people travel hours, some people get on a plane, some people like literally hide and don't tell anyone that they're getting a procedure done. So yeah, the hurdles and the things we overcome to get the care we need is amazing, and all it does is prove how strong and awesome we are. Right? Like, it doesn't prove that the system, like anything about the system, own the story. Like, I overcame absolute insanity to take care of my body and my family. And so, yeah, why is now not the time? I mean,
and you're a woman of certain means, right? Like, you're like, what were the obstacles you had to, yeah, I see you. What were the obstacles you had to overcome to access your abortion?
I didn't. I had to overcome my own shame, my own like embarrassment, but I was able to access abortion through my obstetrician, which was amazing. I just talked about this on a podcast episode yesterday. I think like that's just like one more piece of privilege in my story. And so I can use that. Like, I had access to great care that everyone should have access to.
Yeah.
Not like I had great access to great care, whatever I just said. I had access to great care. I don't understand why it's a problem.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and so
like,
how do we disrupt the narrative of shame in particular for
we just tell our stories, and we tell our stories, I believe, and this is where my work in the world feels to me a little bit different than much of like the pro-choice narrative. So I'm getting like wobbly here, right? This is where I become like a true HellRaiser. I believe that telling our stories is, I was on my bed in a fetal ball crying with grief. There was so much sadness. There was so much shame. There was so much like, I don't know, like I felt all the shitty feelings.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. Like, it's still an empowered story. And so I feel like the pro-choice movement, and I felt this when I had my abortion, I felt like I was supposed to be okay. I was supposed to celebrate my right as a woman. I was supposed to feel powerful about my decision. And I did feel all those things. And I felt like a piece of shit. And so the and is the part that I really want to bring to the table, is like, because you're sad, because you have shame, because you're questioning your decision, it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. Like, you don't make that mean anything. Like, it means you're human. That's it. End of story. Like, you're supposed to feel all those things. For whatever reason you are feeling them. Doesn't mean everyone feels them. Some people have abortions and they feel totally amazing and they move on with their lives and they never think about it again.
Yeah.
But we're missing a gigantic population of people if we think that it's either all good or all bad, because most of us are all
I think
over.
that's so important for people to understand about this conversation, because the binary that's been created here in America, that you are either pro-choice or you are pro-life, whatever the hell that means. Like, because I could go on a tangent about that. But those two binaries, that you have to be in one or the other category, leaves out literally 1/3 of the female population that's having abortions from being able to have, in a really empowering, emboldened way, graceful way, all of the feelings that come with having an abortion. And
Yeah.
when we put it in that binary, we have to disrupt this binary that, by the way, has been created by men in the media. Like, make no mistake, women aren't having this conversation the way men do. And it's created the lack of space for you to be laying there in the fetal position, brokenhearted,
Yeah.
and be
Yeah. It
able
was
to say, hey,
devastating.
I believe in access, full on access to abortion. And oh, by the way, this feels like shit.
And I have zero regret. I have never faced regret, even though I felt shame, even though I felt guilt, even though I felt sadness, even though I felt grief. Now, even if I did feel regret, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think part of my not feeling regret was that I made a decision. Like I had those life coaching tools enough at the beginning to be like, I'm going to decide not to regret this no matter what. So I definitely like got ahead of myself on that one, but you don't have to regret it just because you're sad. Like those two things are actually not related. Like,
You can grieve the loss of your baby.
yeah, and who you
Not
are and who
regret
you
your
thought
choice.
you were, all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's so much conversation to be had. Like just twice in the last 2 days, I've encountered conversations where young women are like, I knew I wanted an abortion. They're telling me to call it a fetus, but I kind of feel connected to this thing and I don't want it in my life, and like all the feelings. Um, and it's like, no, you can, I called it a baby. I said no. And that's okay. Like you can still identify with like the humanness of the experience and the maternal feminine humanness of the experience and say, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not having a baby or another baby in my case.
Yeah. And I think that also, I think this idea of abortion, dare I say, it's a divine feminine experience, that is between you and your body and that baby and your doctor. Like there's like a whole lot of things that have to come together to make that happen.
Yeah.
And and I think for these young women that you're talking to and talking about, like, it's okay to feel this as a coming together in decision making, right?
Yeah.
So how do you use intuition in your work with the people that you work with?
Um, well, that was another thing. So I was trained in the life coach school, which is pretty formulaic. Like, if anyone knows Brooke Castillo, she does not talk about intuition.
Right.
So when I started coaching, I came from like really intuitively led coaching. And then I like kind of stripped it away and got like the process really clean.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to put the two together.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That question's a little bit hard for me to answer. And I got stumped up on it when I thought about it, because I've always followed my intuition. It's why I knew I was supposed to have an abortion, even though it was a hard decision. Like, so it's a little hard for me to identify like how I follow my intuition, because I do it so naturally and I always have. Um,
So you naturally fall into the rhythm of what you hear, right?
I do. And it's like people are like, well, do you hear it? I'm like, no, like I don't have like voices and like I don't see visions. I just ask myself, like, does this feel good? Does this feel right? What's my next step? And I ask myself, like in my coaching, um, I always use the example, like you have to ask over and over and over again. It's like, should I eat the chocolate cake? Should I not eat the chocolate cake? There's not one answer.
Yeah.
It's like literally, should I eat the chocolate cake right now? And just like let your body and your soul or whatever you want it to be make that answer. And so I just do that all the time. I'm always asking and following and choosing to be guided.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little tricky. Like it's hard to explain something that you've always done.
Yeah, it is. But I think the reason I have enjoyed asking all of you this question for this HellRaiser series is because I also think if you weren't listening to your intuition, you wouldn't be doing the work that you're doing. And that is the important thing that I want people to understand, is that when we deny our calling, like if you didn't have that moment during life coach school where Brooke was like, choose your niche right now, and you would have been like, well, I think I'm going to help those multi-level marketing people. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you wouldn't have
Yeah, totally. And
when your gut was like,
so important, because intuition doesn't mean easy.
whoa. In fact, intuition often means not easy.
Yeah. So intuition is like, I'm supposed to do this thing. Like I feel called, I feel drawn, I can't stop hearing this thing I'm supposed to do. It's not, some people are like, well, that would be the easy path, right? Like that's, if it's intuitively guided, it should feel lovely. I don't believe that at all. Like if you were supposed to have an abortion, if you wanted an abortion, it should feel lovely. Yes, I wanted an abortion and it feels like shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Yeah. Love it so much. It's so important. Last but not least, especially since we are the day after such a traumatizing evening, what is making you smile right now?
Right now, like in my life or in this room, in this interview?
Whatever. It's totally up to you.
It's funny. I used to never watch TV, never watch not Netflix. I mean, we don't have TV, but like I was never a watcher. Yeah. And now I like totally binge to escape. Because like I do a lot of really good, important work all day long. And then I'm like, time for some TV. So Better Things on Hulu is my current smile.
Nice. Awesome.
It's pretty fabulous.
Did you watch Schitt's Creek?
Yes. Oh, very much. Schitt's Creek has all been watched. I might even watch it again, actually. Yeah, but actually, I really enjoyed it. That was the last thing I
when I need 30 minutes.
Totally. It's amazing.
I've never been a TV person at all, and I'll tell you,
have you seen Better Things?
No, but I'm going to add it to my list.
Oh my Lord, it's fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you for
that. So good, especially as a mother. I will say all the moms need to go watch Better Things.
That's awesome.
So good.
Amanda, if people want to find you on the interwebs, where's the best place for them to look for you?
My website links you to all the places, the Instagrams and the podcasts and all the things, is amandastarkingsley.com.
Fantastic. We'll make sure to link it in the comments.
You probably just Google Amanda abortion and it's gonna come up.
SEO. Look at you.
I mean, there aren't a lot of us talking about abortion, so it's not that hard to find someone.
I actually have done that. I've been like, shit, I can't find Amanda something or other. I'm like, Amanda Kingsley abortion. Yep. Thank you for joining me today, love.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And for those of you that are listening, don't forget you can download my free book, naturalbornrebel.com is where you find it. It's delightful. It will teach you how to start finding your voice and gives you some journal prompts that you can work on so that you can engage in rebellion in your own time and space. Talk to you soon.
Do it. Go get it.
Go get it. It's so good.